Hello and welcome to another Tinto Maps feedback post where we have a look at the map, we have a look at what the map used to look like, do a little bit of comparison, see if we can't spot any differences, and kind of see how this game is shaping up thanks to the feedback that you guys are giving. So before we get into that, if you like this kind of video, then you should probably click the subscribe button and join the 42.4% of the people who watch my videos who have already subscribed. You could be one of them, and you could make me happy by being one of them. Anyway, let us have a look at the Indian subcontinent and see what the changes are between now and when this thread was very first made, and when we first experienced India. Hello, welcome to one more week of Tinto Maps Feedbacks posts. Today I'll be reviewing the region of India. Let's start with a list of changes as per usual. So, we have 116 extra locations, which is, that's a lot, right? Because we had a few posts, a few Tinto map reworks, where not very many locations were added, and 116 is a fair bit. Also 5 lakes, and a lot of wastelands, and I'm not going to try and pronounce any of these except this one because it's fun. Gadag. It was just fun to say. Anyway, but yeah, lots and lots of new locations, 5 new lakes, a few wastelands. Many wastelands got split. I imagine a lot of this is up in the Himalayan mountains, Nepal area, where we got wastelands being split, and there are some dynamic names as well. There are also a bunch of locations that just got renamed. Some of them, pretty close. Kota to Kotte. I mean, that's pretty close. Other very Patamadour to Vembar. That's a big change. There's a lot of these are like that. But yeah, very cool. Raw goods, changed several raw goods as suggested. This is something that we're going to talk about because I think there is more that needs to be done here. Very much there is more that needs to be done here. Terrain, vegetation got a total review, and there are more minorities. As per usual, that is what we like to see. So, they have tried to be as comprehensive as possible with the feedback received, as they received a lot. So they tried to prioritize what was most relevant for the game. India was one of the first regions they started to draw back in 2020, so they added some more location density, and this is why there are so many extra locations in this particular Tinto feedback. Specifically focusing on southern India as they thought it was the area most in need of increased granularity. They also prioritized location rework over the other feedback received as they thought it was more needed in this case. With that said, let's have a look at the revised map. So here we have countries. Let's just check. Here are the countries, and this is what it used to look like. So, I'm not seeing... Obviously, we used to be able to see the name of the country of, the vassals underneath the Sultanate of Delhi, but that's no longer possible. Although, maybe that is a setting I know from playing the game. Just, have a different setting. Other than that, there's some border changes. I don't think there are any new countries. Just a few border changes, like, for example, Vijayanagar got a little bit. Maybe they just colored in this wasteland. But yeah, I think the most telling part here is actually the difference in the colors, and sort of the vibe and feel of the place. Yeah, there used to be a much more colorful border and then a kind of paler internal, and now it is you can very minorly see that paler internal part is still a thing. Just nowhere near as much as it used to be. But other than that, I'm not seeing the huge changes. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, that's the wrong one. I'm not seeing the huge changes. So yeah, this seems fine to me. But we will continue on. We also have some zoomed in posts, but I kind of already did that myself. We also have the Dynasty map. There wasn't any changes that I saw, really, between this one and the previous week, so I didn't bother pulling up the previous ones. No changes. They're just showing it just in case. Fair enough. Actually, did they say that there's no changes? No changes here. Please take into consideration that the C-zone borders are not appearing as a bug. Okay, and they're tweaking some values. It's not a new feature. Fair enough. Country ranks and government type. We didn't actually get this map in the previous time that we looked at India, so it's quite nice to see this, I think. We have kingdoms, and everything else is county except Orissa and Vijayanagar. And I've forgotten what that country's called. Balls. That didn't help me at all. Actually, that's not G. This is a different country to the G. I don't know what country this is. I apologize. It is what it is. That one there, though, is Pinya is a kingdom. Good to know. Very cool, though. As for whether it is a monarchy or not, it's all monarchy all the way down. They have new maps. Currently have 2 dynamic Indian titles. For kingdom rank, they have Maharaja, ruler male, Maharaja, ruler female, Maharani. And for duchy rank, they have Raj, ruler male, Raja, ruler female, Rani. And they depreciate feedback on them for improving the accuracy and immersion as per usual. Locations now, and this is the more we do these are harder and harder to look at because they've changed the style, right? And it is very much different. So here is the new one versus the old one, and I mean, I can zoom in a bit, and we can look between them, but it's really quite, I mean, locations have obviously changed, right? They added 116 extra locations. Where those are, I really couldn't begin to tell you, because just the styling is so very, very different. I have some more zoomed in ones. So here we have the north, and swapping between them. Yeah, I don't know. We have the south as well, and I mean, if you can spot the differences, congratulations, you're smarter than I claim to be. So that's locations at least. Lots of additions and reworks. I will take your word for it. As for provinces, this one might be a little bit easier to spot the differences on, if there are any. Even though we do have to still zoom in a little bit. I can't tell any differences. I'm sorry, but you know what? If you've spotted some differences, good job. And if they are differences that you prefer, great. Again, I just think the biggest change is in style, right? It has gone from very, very vibrant and colorful into a lot more muted. There's more greens, yellows, browns. There's no purples, right? Whereas here there is a lot of purple. There's no blues. Actually, I suppose that's like that turquoisey blues is pretty much close. But yeah, no purples, nothing too vibrant. Whereas it used to be very, very vibrant. I would like to know which one you prefer. I will say this is not a map mode that I was very frequently looking at. So honestly, even with locations, I wasn't really looking at this map mode all too often. So whether it looks very artificial like this, or more muted and grounded like this, I don't think it makes a colossal amount of difference, if I'm being honest. But anyway, we have areas now. I can show the after and the before, and I think the thing I'll say is the Orissa area is huge. But then there's like Chota Nagputa, which is like absolutely tiny in comparison, and they're bordering each other. I think there definitely needs to be some kind of... You know how they have with the location, they have some rules, right? And no location can be, I think it's 50% larger than the location that it borders. That rule does not apply to areas, clearly. Otherwise, this would not be like it. And I don't know, it was the same before as well. I don't know if I really vibe too hard with that. I wouldn't mind taking some land away from Orissa, who actually gained land, by the way. Orissa gained land in the rework, which is interesting. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Orissa lose a little bit of this. You could probably merge these two locations, give it some of Orissa, and then, you know, a kind of like a this and then a this works Might not be historically perfectly, you know, whatever, but pure gameplay-wise, I think that would work a lot better. I do think it would work a lot better. Anyway, on to the terrain. We have, of course, got the befores and afters. I'm not sure if too much of this changed. First of all, though, this is climate. We have the before. Sorry, no, we have the after, and we have the before. And, yeah, again, you can see a lot of the changes actually in the styling. But also, the before, tropical was much further inland in Bengal, and now it's just the coastline. Is just the coastline. That's the biggest change that I can see. I think everything else is relatively similar. Not too much differences, but that is the big difference that I saw, at least. We also have the topography. Here is the before, and here is the after. With hills changing color, it's harder to notice, but I suppose there's been a little bit of plateau added where before it was hills. We can maybe do a little zoom in to see if we can spot anything else. Not really. I'd say maybe there's a bit more flatland than there was previously. You know, flatland all around here, whereas before it was, you know, dotted with hills all over the place. So definitely I'm seeing a little bit more flatland. And then finally we have the before for vegetation, and we have the after for vegetation. So not too much that I can see that's super different there. Honestly, this one seems relatively close, other than we used to have pure grassland in Bengal, and now that has changed. There is jungle here, there is forest here, there is woods here. There's no longer just pure grassland. As for farmland, we have a nice bit of it in... I'm pretty sure this is where, like, Delhi is, right? So, some nice farmland there. And that's the same as before, but I just want to point out, because farmland's really, really good in the game. It's very, very good indeed. Very nice. Development map mode, I'm pretty sure we have the before and after. I do have the before and after this as well. So here it is, the before, and here we have the after. So again, we're having a lot of the high development land in actual Delhi itself. But I think there's, you know, there's a nice bit around Orissa area as well. That's quite nice. But the development really falls off when you get into the main, like, jungle area, right? That's where a bunch of the jungle was. Kind of there. Yeah. But yeah, there's your befores and afters. Lovely stuff. Harbors now. I'm not sure if we had any big changes here, but this is the before and this is the after. Again, the sea not having lines on it is something they're working on. We can see there is a lovely harbor off the, you know, eastern coast of Bengal, which we actually couldn't see before, but that's nice. Not Pondicherry. What is this called? I'm fairly certain that I pointed it out as one of the best harbors in the world in my previous video, and now I've forgotten. No, not Trincomalee. No, that's not it. It's I have forgotten what it is. I apologize, but this is one of the best harbors in the world, and I'm glad to see that it is still very, very good. Goa as well is looking pretty hot. But that's yeah, relatively similar. I don't see too many changes other than maybe just like some harbor suitability down the coastline, whereas before there was like basically none. Cool stuff. Cultures now, and yeah, I mean, before it was crazy, and after it's also crazy. So here is your before, and here is your after, and there's just been more minorities added. I'm not sure how much is going to be actually seen, although what I will say is, if we zoom in a bit, we now are called Odia instead of Orissan. That is something I was not expecting. Maratha has changed to Marathi. What else have we got? There, I know there is still an issue with the Assamese culture over here. That is still being worked on, so if you are one of the people who are like, Assamese, why? And there's a comment that I'll share at the end of the video, talking about that. They are already, they have it on their list of to-dos. Just because we have the feedback post doesn't mean the feedback is, finished being implemented. Which does kind of speak to the idea that maybe they're, rushing through the feedback posts for a certain something that rhymes with Elise. Whatever, you know what I mean. Anyway, religion now, Hindu, obviously massive all over the place. It used to be like this. So, having some Sunni here in the center of India was not there before, and now it is. The dashed yellow lines is Jain. We also have in the very north some Zoroastrians and some Tengri, which is cool to see as well. Oh yeah, languages as well. This wasn't shown before, so there's no before and after. But here are your languages. Got Bengali, Oriya, Telugu, Kannada, Hindustani, all over the place. Lovely stuff. Then we have the court language, Hindustani for, the majority of the Delian area, of course. And then the liturgical language, I think, is the last one. Sorry, location, country, and court is the way it goes. So, location languages, country languages, and then the court language of Delhi is, in fact, Persian. The reason I said about the liturgical language is because of a comment that I read where they were asking about if Sanskrit is there as a liturgical language for the Hindu, and that is, in fact, that is the case. Then we have the religions, which I've already gone over. Right, raw materials. Here is where there has been some controversy. Right. If we actually, if I just open raw materials like this, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I would like you to find the coal. I would like you to find the coal. Where, in fact, is the coal? I will save you the trouble. There is only a single coal province in the entirety of India, and I can't find it, but maybe you did. I don't know. Yeah, there is no coal in Ireland in India. And that I think is probably wrong. I don't like that. I don't like that at all, actually. There's some coal over here. Is that the coal that they were mentioning? It's not even in India. Because there was a comment that basically pointed out that there was no coal. Or they pointed out that there was one location that had coal. If this is the one that they were talking about, then it's not even in India, which is crazy to me. There's also another problem, in my opinion, and also the opinion of a thread that was posted, and that is the absolute overabundance of silk, which you might think it's not terrible idea. Like, silk, it's not the worst thing, right? You can probably assume that there would be some silk in India. However, just the sheer amount of it, there is something like 30-something silk locations. When you compare that to China, who has like 3. So the whole Silk Road thing is not really vibing so hard right now. China just does not have the silk monopoly or the silk dominance that they, in my opinion, really, really should have. So I would definitely say take some silk away from India and give it to China. I'm actually going to have a look for that thread, because I remember it very well. Here, this thread right here. This is a thread that came out, I believe, actually after the map post, right? So China, 56T, 18 silk, 1 die. India, 33 silk, 29 die, 4T. And then if you look on into Persia, 3 die and 21 silk. Then in, the Balkans and a little bit of Anatolia, we've got 11 silk, 5 dies. So definitely, this is a really good thread, and also showing maps, although I'm not sure if this map is actually dated, so how useful it is, don't know. Early Qing Dynasty could be kind of useful. But a really good thread, and I would agree pretty heavily that I would love to see more silk in China than in India. And yes, I absolutely got the numbers wrong when I mentioned it earlier, but I definitely think that should be something that needs a bit of a look at. But anyway, there's your raw materials. And yeah, I'd like to know what you guys think of that. Onto markets then. We have, I think, relatively similar markets, although, once again, the difference in the look of the markets is very stark. Very stark indeed. I think the change that I wouldn't mind seeing is having some kind of line between these, just like maybe a white line, like we have here, this white line. I like everything else about the visuals of this way more than I like this. I just want to see that line between them, because it is getting a little difficult to... Is this location part of Delhi or Kanbat? I don't know. So maybe, just a little line. Just a little line. That would be nice. But other than that, there's your markets. And I believe that is actually one of the last things I have. Yes, that is the last map to share. Not many changes. They added a market center in Kataka, as the game's AI was creating it in the first month of the game, so they're adjusting things for this setup. Where's Kataka? I didn't actually spot that when I was doing the back and forth, actually. So, yeah, having a market here is, interesting. If the AI is doing it anyway, that's cool. So, that is all for today. It is not, because I've got some comments to show you as well. But tomorrow, which is actually today, and is actually, the thread's actually already out. We have the Tinto Tinto flavor for Sweden, Sverige. So we're going to have that. I'm going to make that video tomorrow. Wednesday, there is the unit graphics that I'm very much looking forward to, hosted by St. Dave. That's going to be a huge one. There's another video being released on Thursday. Absolutely buzzing about that. And then on Friday, again, I'm not going to be covering this one in a video, but for those of you who are interested, there's a Tinto flavor about Muscovy. Right. I have some comments to share with you, so let's go and have a look at some of those. The liturgical language of Hinduism. Do they have Sanskrit? Yes, there is. That's what I was mentioning before. Sanskrit is in the game. Why was Assamese culture not moved, nor was Sindh made religiously diverse, or the population of Muslims and Christians decreased in Kerala? These suggestions were very prominent. Sapavia here responding that pop work on cultures and minorities is not yet finished. They'll be adjusting a few more things in the coming weeks. These two specific things are already noted. So, yeah. While I do think it is still important to bring up when we get a feedback post and something that you feel very, very strongly should be a thing and is not a thing, you should still, like Netflix here has done, bring it up, I think it's important. I hope some Buddhist minorities will be added across the subcontinent in places like Bihar, Bengal, Odisha, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Rajasthan. They weren't extinct yet. Aldron, of obviously developer now at Tinto, but originally from Mayo and Texas team. So, Mayo and Texas, big ups. Shout out. M&T, fantastic. Anyway, asking to provide sources and data on this, like specific sources and data. They've not been very lucky on getting those. So, if you have sources on anything, really, then definitely, pass them along to the devs. Will it be possible to cross from India into Sri Lanka through the Adams Bridge at this game start? Supposedly it was traversable until 1480. Since most of the game period it was not traversable, they've made it a separate wasteland. If later in the future they could have the tech allowing us to change map properties, we could make it so that changes with an event. Oh, the tease! The tease! We've been wanting this much. This is a tease. But yeah, so we're not going to be able to cross into Sri Lanka, Ceylon from India. You're gonna need the boats. You're gonna need your boats, or honestly, just probably a straight crossing. Actually, you know what? Even if Adam's Bridge was destroyed or submerged or rendered unusable in 1800, I would argue very strongly that it should still be a straight crossing. And my argument for it being that is thus. A straight crossing means that a boat can stop you from marching across it. And yeah, that's kind of what could happen with Adam's Bridge, right? It was a strip, it was basically a sandbar, some like 20 feet wide. If you had boats on either side of this thing and you tried to march down it, and these boats were hostile, you were getting blown the hell away. It just is what it is. So I would still say it should be a straight crossing no matter what. They'll need to address the issue eventually, since plenty of countries have titles, some only self-proclaimed and some never used outside its borders, that are misleadingly tied to game ranks that don't match their actual power. Should an OPM with minimal control over its territory be considered tier 4 just because they call themselves Emperor of People or King of Kings of Region? That's a fair point. I question a bit how useful those ranks will be in EU5. It isn't CK3 with the need to simulate stratified and fixed feudal hierarchies, whereas this system will most likely not be kept. I like country ranks. I think it should be kept. It should at least be tied to actual power, using whatever combination of metrics makes sense, with the occasional manual exceptions to represent countries that were more prestigious than their current situation would suggest. I imagine this is just there for the Romans' sake. They already made some exceptions. In the specific case of India, what would be most useful for us would have a system in place that could be akin to Emperor, King, Duke, and Count with, I can't pronounce these, so you know what, there you go. If they could better tie it to the Samanta, Mahasamanta, and the Prada Mahasamanta subject system, they think they could portray even more accurately the intricacies of the Indian feudal system and improve the gameplay immersion of the region. That's why it's important for us to gather feedback about it. And they've added Jadir, Desmuk as possibilities for the Count tier. Cool. You know what? A little bit of context behind how they decide what, ranks different countries get, which is always nice to see. This is just extra maps that we've seen, just asking for the maps of southern India for locations. There is also one for Bengal as well, just a little bit more zoomed in, and some province one, actually not province ones, some country map that shows the rivers as well. So you can see a lot of the Ganges River delta here in Bengal, which is lovely to see. The whole map only has one coal location. True. Further suggestions are welcome. Yeah, but add more. My suggestion is add more. Just a lot more of them would be quite nice. And then my final comment to bring to you is actually the same as the first one, because I had it twice. I apologize for that, but either way, here, have a map of Bengal maps while I say thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. Again, tomorrow will have a video on the Sweden flavor, and I will try and tala lite svenska till so I can increase the immersion. My Swedish is very bad, but I will try and do a little bit. I won't do the accent. That's a terrible idea. But also, if you want to see that, best way to do that is subscribe to the channel and become one of the 42%, and then everything will be happy and everyone will be good. Thanks all for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye.